Revealed. The incredible hidden legacy of Hitachi that will transform your perspective forever. Jamie stood in his family's shop, the warm glow of the overhead lights casting a reassuring radiance over the familiar chaos of tools and car parts. His heart beat steadily, almost in rhythm with the hum of engines being tuned nearby. As a third-generation mechanic in this dusty Midwestern town, Jamie knew the weight of the family legacy resting on his shoulders. Each oil change and tune-up felt like a direct line back to his grandfather, who had built this shop by hand, brick by brick. Yet, the laughter that once filled the streets had faded. The dark chill of corporate America was a looming cloud, threatening to swallow his business whole. As he wiped his hands on a rag, Jamie glanced around the shop. Regulars drifted in and out, sharing stories that echoed memories of days when the streets bustled with life. It was heartening, yet troubling, a bittersweet reminder of the struggle to hold on in a town that had begun to forget its heartbeat. Then, amidst the clutter in the back of the shop, something caught his eye. An old, dusty box awaited him, its surface as rough as the times they lived in. Heart racing, he pried it open, revealing faded photographs and papers yellowed by time. His breath caught. There it was, the forgotten partnership with Hitachi, a name that once breathed innovation into their town. As he sifted through the relics, a flicker of hope ignited inside him. Jamie envisioned a new path, a way to revive the community's spirit while honoring his family's hard-earned reputation. This was it. A tech investment could transform their circumstances. Before long, he found himself meeting with local veterans and elders. Chris, a wiry gray-haired man with a twinkle in his eye, recalled how the Hitachi plant had once buzzed with life. "We had jobs, Jamie. Real jobs," he exclaimed, waving his hands like a conductor, orchestrating memories of laughter, prosperity, and community spirit. These stories echoed in Jamie's mind, painting vivid images of what could be a tech hub where families gathered, children laughed, and joy thrived on these same worn streets. But the reality of change was as unyielding as a rusted bolt. Jamie's ambitious plan to bring back tech investments hit a wall when a crucial initiative spiraled out of control, leaving a tide of angry townsfolk in its wake. "You're just selling false hope," shouted a familiar voice, a neighbor shaken by his dreams. The sting in their words pierced deep. At home, his father's face clouded with betrayal was a stark contrast to the man who had taught him the value of hard work. "You're chasing shadows, Jamie," he said, the disappointment impossible to ignore. That night, as Jamie sat alone swirling his troubles in the dim light of the shop, emotions crashed down on him like an untamed storm. Was he betraying his family's legacy? Was ambition too costly a price to pay? The whispers of the veterans enveloped him, reminding him that hope was stitched into the very fabric of their history. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With resolve churning within him, Jamie decided to dive even deeper into the town's past. If understanding their history was the key to reclaiming his father's trust and reinvigorating their community, then he'd give it everything he had. His mind swirled with images of the revitalized town. He dared to dream of a revival that could bind generations together once more. But then the zinging of his phone snapped him from his thoughts. A message appeared, and his heart leaped. It was a potential investor, intrigued by whispers of Jamie's dreams. Would this be the turn he needed, or would it lead to irreparable rifts, further blurring the lines between legacy and aspiration? Jamie's destiny teetered on a knife's edge, and the question loomed large in his mind. Could his ambition honor his family's legacy, or was he destined to tear it apart? Jamie stared at his phone, disbelief coursing through him. The message had been from an investment group interested in the partnership he was pushing for. They'd heard chatter about his ideas for revitalizing the town and wanted to talk. A A small spark ignited hope in his chest, but it flickered uncertainly, smothered by the recent turmoil. He took a deep breath and set his phone down. The clock on the wall ticked softly, the only sound in the otherwise still shop. This was either his break or his downfall, and he couldn't tell which one felt heavier. Determined not to let fear wash over him, he grabbed a pen and sketchbook to lay out his ideas. With each stroke, he imagined the tech center brimming with youth and innovation, generations blending together to share knowledge and skills. Thoughts of meeting the investor swirled with worries of his father's disappointment. What if this went wrong? Would the townsfolk's anger only multiply? The next day, he arrived at the local cafe, nervous energy buzzing in his veins. It was packed, a world alive with conversations and laughter. The chatter nudged him toward a robust sense of community, the very thing he sought to rebuild. As he settled into a booth, Jamie observed, his heart pounding in anticipation. A moment later, a man in a crisp, tailored suit approached him. "Jamie, right? I'm Tom," he said, extending a hand. Tom's warm smile eased Jamie's trepidation. They shook, a firm grip connecting two worlds, the formal business world and Jamie's heartbeat of a small town. "Thanks for meeting with me," Jamie began, finding his voice as they sat down. "I think there's so much potential here, not just for tech, but for our community itself. We can bring jobs back, make a real difference." Tom nodded sympathetically. "I've heard the stories. But understand, Jamie, investors want to see numbers. They want proof this can succeed." Jamie felt a twinge deep within, the weight of expectation heavy on his shoulders. He had seen the town's decline firsthand, the abandoned storefronts and fading hopes. "I understand," he replied, focusing on his mission. "But this isn't just about profits. We need to invest in the people, in the heart of our town." Their conversation flowed, and something within Jamie shifted. Could he turn his abstract dreams into tangible goals? They discussed logistics, plans evolving on paper as if they had always been meant to exist. Each minute that passed was a step toward something bigger, a bridge that could connect the past and future. Yet moments of doubt still crept in. What if his father couldn't see the vision? Would the town rally behind him? Jamie wrestled with the prospect of facing the scrutiny that came with leadership while trying to instill hope. As the coffee cooled between them, Tom leaned in, his voice lowering. "You've got passion, Jamie. That's a start. And from what I gather, this town deserves a second chance. Let us work on a proposal together. One that shows the potential for growth, not just stability." A wave of relief washed over him. This was the partnership he needed. But just as the prospect of success began to feel tangible, a notification on Jamie's phone pulled his attention. It was another message. The tone was explosive. "We hear you're backtracking on community trust, Jamie. You're playing with people's livelihoods." His pulse quickened, the warmth of hope extinguished by the icy grip of fear. Would this investor see the potential or the chaos? Just then, Jamie's father entered the cafe, his expression unreadable. The tightness in Jamie's chest returned. Would this be the moment they finally spoke the truth, or would silence ruin everything? The cafe's vibe shifted. Whispers circled like a whirlwind. He could feel every gaze. Would he be able to hold onto his vision, or would the shadows of doubt snuff out the light he had started to kindle? As his father approached, all eyes on them, Jamie stood at the precipice of his journey. Was he ready to face his biggest challenge yet? Would he find the courage to forge ahead, or would he remain bound by the shackles of fear? The moment had arrived, and his heart raced with the weight of what was to come. Jamie felt his heart race as he watched his father stride toward him, each step echoing with unspent words. The air between them was thick, charged with unspoken tension. He could feel the eyes of the cafe on him, judging, waiting. Would today finally be the day they confronted their history? "Dad," Jamie started, trying to keep his voice steady. "I want to talk about what's happening. I have a chance to bring something good back to this town. Is that what you're calling it now?" His father replied, a hint of skepticism simmering just below the surface. "A chance? Or just another dream that won't come true?" Those words stung. Jamie clenched his hands on the table, seeking a way to avoid the conversation spiraling into a familiar argument. You don't understand. This could actually turn things around. I'm working with an investor. An investor? His father interrupted, eyes widening. Do you really think they care about this town? They only care about profits. You're playing with folks' lives, Jamie. The weight of his father's disappointment settled heavily on Jamie's shoulders. But his resolve stirred, emboldened by the thought of the tech center and the opportunity it represented. It's about more than just money. It's rebuilding what we lost, rekindling that sense of community. I believe in this, Dad. I believe in us. A suffocating silence enveloped them. The bustling cafe faded away, replaced by Jamie's pulse echoing in his ears. Finally, his father sighed, eyes softening. Jamie, I don't want to see you hurt again. We've been through too much. Jamie felt the sting of tears threaten to spill as memories flooded back, years of downward spirals, of hopes dashed and dreams set aside. He shifted in his seat, taking a deep breath. I know, but this is my shot. If I don't try, we'll lose this town for good. Is that what you want? Of course not. His father's voice raised, drawing curious glances from the other patrons. But you need to think about the people you're dealing with. Not everyone will support you. Not everyone will forgive you for trying. In that moment, Jamie understood. His father was afraid. Not just for himself, but for Jamie, for the whole town. Then let us do this together, he suggested, his voice steadier than he felt. I want your support. I want your experience. We can show them what it means to truly care. His father looked at him, searching for something in Jamie's expression. The struggle was evident in his eyes. The weight of legacy was almost too much to bear. Finally, he nodded, albeit reluctantly. If we're going to do this, we do it my way. Transparency, communication. You need to get the community back on your side. They need to see this isn't just a business deal. It's about their lives. That feeling of slight relief warmed Jamie's chest. It was a start. The road ahead would be fraught with challenges. But now they were standing together. Perhaps they could bridge the gaps between the past and present, weaving hope into the fabric of their community. Just then, Jamie's phone buzzed again, the harsh tones slicing through the moment. He hesitated before checking it, worry coiling in his belly. Another message. Jamie, if you think you can just walk back in and be their hero, you're mistaken. This town remembers. And so do I. His heart dropped. Who was sending these threats? The weight of responsibility surged anew. He flicked his gaze back to his father, who was still watching him with growing concern. We might not have much time, Jamie said, adrenaline shooting through him. If they're turning against me already, we need a plan. Then let us make one, his father said, determination creeping back into his voice, rekindling that connection. But as they began brainstorming, Jamie's mind raced with fear. Would this partnership truly bring hope? Or would they uncover more ghosts from the past lurking in the shadows? This was just the beginning, and Jamie felt the thrill of uncertainty surging through him. Could they really create a future, or was he already too late? Jamie's hands trembled slightly as he clasped the phone, the message burning a hole in his pocket. His father's steady gaze snapped him back to reality. The cafe buzzed around them, dishes clattering and voices blending into a hum. But Jamie felt a barrier shielding them from the world. Who is that? His father asked, his voice thick with concern. What did it say? It's just an old friend. Jamie deflected, but the guilt twisted in his gut. He knew he needed to be honest. Someone who doesn't think I deserve to come back. His father furrowed his brow. Then you need to face it. You can't hide from your past. We have to confront these people head on, and that means being open about everything. A lump formed in Jamie's throat. I thought this was about healing. I thought, maybe if I built this tech center I could fix what we lost. Building something doesn't erase the hurt. His father leaned closer, lowering his voice. You have to own up to your mistakes. They need to see you're willing to take responsibility. And that message, it's a reminder that you're not just against the clock, you're against the community's wrath. I didn't mean to hurt anyone, Jamie murmured, his voice barely audible. He thought of the betrayals of youth, the break in faith from family and friends. So many people he had once called neighbors, now mere silhouettes in his past. "Let us sketch out a plan," his father urged, catching Jamie's distant gaze. "We need to address the people before they rally against you. Tomorrow at the town hall. If we can get them in the same room, we can talk, listen, and bring them into the fold." The idea gave Jamie a flicker of hope. "You really think they'll show up?" His father nodded. "They care. And if you show them you care too, they might just respond." As Jamie took a deep breath, something else nagged at the back of his mind. What if they still hold grudges? What if they don't want to listen? "Then we listen to them first," his father replied, firm and unwavering. "People want to be heard, Jamie. Address their fears, their frustrations, make it personal. You're not just some businessman. You're one of them." The words resonated in Jamie's heart. They ignited a flicker of determination within him. He wasn't just a name on a paper. He was Jamie, their once hopeful neighbor who had lost his way but now wanted to return with renewed purpose. As they continued to plan, Jamie couldn't shake the feeling that time was slipping through his fingers. The threat looming over him felt like a heavy shadow. Someone was watching, waiting for him to falter. "Let us get started on your speech tonight," his father suggested, pulling out a napkin to jot down ideas. "It needs to be genuine. Speak from the heart." Jamie nodded, fully aware of the weight pressing onto his shoulders. "And what if it's not enough? Then it's not about the speech anymore. It's about what you do after," his father replied, standing up. The determination in his eyes burned bright as he caught Jamie's gaze. "You just need to start. Together." That moment sparked something deeper in Jamie. They would confront those old wounds together, not merely with words but with action. The tech center wasn't just a building. It was a chance to weave a new narrative for their community. But as they stood to leave the cafe, a chill shot down Jamie's spine. A familiar figure loomed just outside, a shadow he hadn't accounted for. The fleeting sense of dread gnawed at him, the one person who might just derail all his plans. "Who is that?" his father asked, catching Jamie's frozen expression. "We need to find out," Jamie replied, fear crawling up his spine. "Because this isn't over yet." The unknown stared back at them, and Jamie felt the burden of his past weighty in the air. Would the truth finally come out, or would the darkness close in once more? Jamie felt his heart race as he stared at the figure lingering outside the cafe. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows, draping an ominous cloak over everything. The figure shifted slightly, and Jamie's breath caught in his throat. It was Alex, his childhood friend. The person whose loyalty had once felt as solid as an oak, but had shattered like glass when Jamie's life took a tumultuous turn. "Dad, it's Alex," he whispered, his voice barely escaping his lips. "Are you sure?" His father's brow furrowed deeper. Jamie nodded, unable to tear his gaze away. Alex had been his closest confidant back when everything was simple and life felt full of promise. But that was before the fallout, before life turned them into strangers. A sense of betrayal washed over him as pain tangled with nostalgia. "What do you want to do?" his father asked, bringing Jamie back to the moment. "I don't know. I can't just ignore him and walk away," Jamie replied, hesitating. "But I'm not sure I'm ready for this confrontation." "Maybe it's just what you need," his father encouraged. "Facing your past, starting now, could help clear the air." Taking a deep breath, Jamie's took a step toward the door, pulling it open with a shaky hand. The bell chimed softly, but it felt like a thunderclap in the silence between them. Alex's voice was low, strained. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Likewise," Jamie replied, forcing the words out. "What do you want?" Alex's eyes darted away momentarily, searching for the right words. "I'd like to talk about everything. It's been a long time." Jamie turned, glancing back at his father, who stood a few steps behind, watching with a mixture of concern and encouragement. With a tired sigh, Jamie stepped onto the sidewalk, placing himself firmly in front of Alex. "Talk," he said, looking directly into Alex's eyes. "But you need to understand, I'm trying to come back. I'm trying to do better. I get that. But people are upset, Jamie. They've lost trust." Alex leaned forward, his voice urgent. You can't build a tech center and pretend everything's okay. You need to face what happened. They deserve an explanation, and so do you. A lump formed once again in Jamie's throat. I know I made mistakes. I was reckless. I underestimated the damage I could cause. But I'm trying to change that. I want to make things right. Can you even understand that? Alex's expression softened. I don't know if I can forgive you yet, he admitted, the bitterness creeping back into his voice. But maybe that's what you need. You won't get anywhere without owning what you did, Jamie. The weight of the truth struck Jamie like a physical blow. I'm terrified of what they think of me, terrified of failing again. Then show them, Alex urged, a flicker of hope shining through his pain. Show them the real you. And hey, maybe we can even work together. I still believe in the vision. Jamie's heartbeat quickened. Could this be a chance for healing? To not only mend things with his community but also with Alex? I'm meeting everyone tomorrow at the town hall, Jamie said, feeling bold. Come. Hear me out. If you believe in this vision, help me convince them too. Alex hesitated, the weight of the past visible in every crease of his brow. All right, but only if you promise to be honest about everything that's happened. No more hiding. They deserve the truth. Yes, Jamie said, the word feeling like a pledge. As they exchanged guarded looks, Jamie felt the first hints of something new in the air: possibility, hope, and the potential to mend. But just as that glimmer sparked, a distant voice called out, Jamie! It was someone he recognized, someone who had been part of his past in ways he couldn't forget. The shadow had thickened again, casting doubt over his moment of progress. Jamie turned to see who it was, dread creeping back into his mind. Not now, he murmured under his breath. Would he have the strength to face what lay ahead? Or would the past continue to haunt him just when he thought he might break free? As Jamie turned to look, his stomach twisted in knots. The voice that pierced the moment was familiar and full of memories that he had hoped to leave behind. Megan, his first love. She stood at the edge of the cafe patio, her eyes wide with surprise, a mix of disbelief and concern written all over her features. Jamie, is that really you? She called out, taking hesitant steps toward him, her hands tucked nervously into her pockets. Every beat of his heart echoed louder than the last. What was she doing here? Just yesterday he could barely handle the thought of Alex, and now this? Megan, he managed to say, his voice strained between shock and nostalgia. I heard you were back in town. Wasn't he sure if it was true? She said, glancing over at Alex, who stood silently beside Jamie, evaluating the unfolding drama. Yeah, it's true, Jamie replied, a mix of warmth and regret flooding him. Memories of stolen kisses under the stars and whispered promises surged forth, but the weight of their shared history only added to his unease. You look different, she managed, her voice unsteady. Better, if that's possible. I didn't expect to see you. Neither did I, he admitted. But I'm trying to. He paused, glancing back at Alex, who suddenly looked like a stranger in a familiar place. I'm trying to make things right. Megan raised her eyebrows. Right? After everything that happened? People are still angry, Jamie. You left us hanging. It hurt a lot of people. He felt the sting of her words, each one like a knife carving deeper into his already raw wounds. I know. I'm sorry, he said, his voice almost a whisper. I really messed up. You can't just come back and expect everything to be okay, she said sharply, but there was a hint of empathy in her eyes. You owe it to everyone to explain yourself. A silent moment passed between them, heavy with the weight of unspoken feelings. He wished he could rewind time, to take back all the choices that had led them to this awkward triangle of confrontation. I'm meeting people at the town hall tomorrow. I want to explain. I want to face them and take responsibility. Then you better be prepared. They want answers, she warned, her expression softening slightly. But I want to hear your answers too. Jamie swallowed hard. I'll be honest. I'll say everything. He searched her eyes, desperately hoping for some nook of understanding, but only finding the tumultuous storm of their shared past. Just then, Alex cleared his throat, breaking the tension. Look, if you want to mend things, you need to come clean, not just to the town but to those you've hurt directly. We all deserve that. Megan nodded, looking between the two of them. I can help too, you know. I can't promise forgiveness, but I can help you show that you're willing to change. She hesitated, a shadow flickering across her face. But that's gonna take a lot. Are you sure you're ready for the truth? Tension hung in the air as Jamie processed her words. Was he really ready? The thought of digging into the past was terrifying, yet allowing himself that chance felt like a lifeline. I have to be, he finally replied, firming his resolve. For myself and for everyone else. Then we'll be there, Alex said with a nod, a thread of camaraderie forming. But remember, no half-truths. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm glow over them, Jamie took a deep breath, feeling the adrenaline surge within him. Tomorrow would be his reckoning, a chance for clarity and, perhaps, healing. But just as the uncertainty began to settle, he caught a glimpse of someone watching them from across the street, a face he recognized, filled with apprehension and skepticism. Who were they? The layers of Jamie's past weren't finished unraveling yet. With a knot tightening in his stomach, he turned to Alex and Megan. I think we have more to face than just the town, he murmured. Would he have the courage to confront it all? Or would the shadows of his past pull him back into darkness? Jamie's heart raced as he squinted across the street, trying to catch another glimpse of the familiar figure. The face lingered in the periphery, like a ghost from a life he had carefully tucked away. With Megan and Alex beside him, he felt a mix of apprehension and regret swelling within. Megan, do you see that person? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. She turned her gaze, focusing where he pointed. No, wait, is that Sarah? From high school? Yeah, Jamie breathed, remembering the way Sarah used to laugh. She had been close to Megan, almost a sister, but the bonds they had once shared shattered when Jamie made his choice to leave. What's she doing here? Megan asked, a hint of confusion mixed with concern in her voice. I don't know, but she doesn't look happy, Jamie replied, feeling the weight of the world pressing down on him. The pit in his stomach deepened as he recalled their falling out. It had been Sarah's trust he had betrayed, another wound in the town's collective heart. It was unsettling to think how much more there was to this story than just him. Before he could gather his thoughts, Sarah turned on her heel and walked away, disappearing into the shadows of the alley nearby. I should talk to her, he said, almost instinctually, urgency driving his footsteps. Jamie, wait, Alex called, but Jamie was already moving. He had to face this. He needed to confront every part of his past, even the pieces that had long since fallen into darkness. As he hurried after Sarah, the air grew denser. The cafe noises dimmed, his focus narrowing in on the sound of her retreating footsteps. He caught up with her just as she stopped, leaning against an old brick wall, the once vibrant color faded with age. Her eyes were distant, filled with a mix of hurt and disbelief. Sarah, he said, barely keeping his voice steady. Can we talk? She looked up, recognition flashing across her features. Of course you'd come running back now. Huh? Just when it's convenient for you, she said, her tone sharp but laced with an underlying sadness. No, that's not it. He fumbled, searching for the right words. I'm back to explain. I owe you that much. Explain? She echoed, a bitter laugh escaping her lips. You owe me an explanation for disappearing when we needed you the most. He lowered his gaze, painfully aware of the truth in her words. I was scared, he admitted, lifting his head again. I thought leaving would make it easier. I thought I could escape the pain I had caused. But I'm ready to face it now, all of it. For a moment, silence enveloped them, thick enough to feel. Jamie could see the steely edge of her anger begin to soften. You think a few words can magically fix everything? She asked, crossing her arms. You hurt a lot of people, Jamie. I know I can't take back the past, he replied, desperation creeping into his voice. But I want to try. I want to make it right, not just for me, but for everyone I hurt. Especially you. Her expression shifted, if only slightly. You really think you can change? Do I have a choice? I've spent so long being haunted by my own mistakes. I want to be better, To prove that I'm more than the kid who ran away, he said, his heart pounding under the weight of those words. That trust is fragile, Jamie, she warned, her eyes unwavering now with a mix of caution and hope. It's not given easily, and it can be lost in an instant. I understand, he said, leaning in closer, and I don't expect it to be easy, but I have to try starting now. Tomorrow at the town hall. I need to face everyone. Will you be there to hear what I have to say? Sarah hesitated, weighing his plea. I'll think about it. But you need to be ready for what comes next. A moment of uncertainty hung between them, but then she turned and walked away without another word, leaving Jamie to grapple with the chains of his past. Anxiety twisted in his stomach, but he felt something else too: hope. Turning back towards the cafe, he found Megan and Alex waiting, their expressions a mixture of support and concern. What happened? Megan asked, scanning his face for answers. I don't know yet, Jamie admitted, but she listened. And tomorrow, he paused, determination washing over him. Tomorrow is just the beginning. There's a lot more I need to confront. As the sun finally sank below the horizon, painting the sky in twilight hues, Jamie felt the impending storm of tomorrow gathering strength within him. Would the town find it in their hearts to forgive? Or would his past come crashing down like a tidal wave, dragging him under once more? Tomorrow's reckoning loomed, and with it, the shadows of his past waited to reveal their true power. The next morning crawled in slowly, shrouded in a thick fog. Jamie stood in front of the bathroom mirror, staring at his reflection. The determination that had surged through him the previous night was now mixing with doubt. The face looking back at him was the same boy who had run away, but he needed to be different today. He had to be different. Are you ready? Megan's voice broke through his thoughts. She appeared in the doorway, her eyes reflecting the concern that had formed a permanent shadow since he'd returned. I guess, he replied, trying to muster confidence. I mean, what if they don't listen? What if they hate me? They might, she said, stepping fully into the room. But you have to be honest with them. It's the only way to start healing. For you and for everyone else. He took a deep breath, willing his heart to settle. You're right. Just wish me luck. Good luck, she whispered, giving him a small smile. As they made their way to town hall, Jamie felt every step grow heavier. The familiar streets didn't feel quite the same anymore. He caught glimpses of familiar faces, people he'd grown up with, people who had once shared laughter and love. A wave of nostalgia washed over him, but it was met with an even stronger tide of regret that threatened to pull him under. The town hall loomed ahead, gray and imposing, but it was the crowd gathered outside that took his breath away. There they were, the people he had left behind. Friends, acquaintances, and even those who had been his enemies. They had come, drawn by the rumblings of his return and the promise of truth. Jamie, Alex called, breaking through the anxious thoughts swirling in his mind. You ready? I think so, Jamie replied, but his voice wavered. As they stepped inside, the noise of conversations dwindled. Heads turned, and Jamie felt every gaze rest on him, like heavy curtains drawn tight around the room. The air grew thick with anticipation, as if the walls themselves held their breath. Thank you all for coming, the mayor said, his voice echoing off the high ceilings. We're here to listen to Jamie, who wishes to speak about his return and the circumstances from the past that led him to leave. Jamie's heart raced in disbelief. The mayor was giving him a platform. It was a gift and a burden. He walked to the front, each step feeling like a mile. He cleared his throat, fighting to find his voice amidst the uncertainty. I know I'm not the person you all remember. I ran away when things got tough. I hurt a lot of people. I hurt Sarah. I betrayed her trust when she needed me the most. And for that, I am truly sorry. A murmur rippled through the crowd, and he could see faces softening, but others remained hard as stone. I thought leaving would solve everything, Jamie continued, his voice gaining strength as his honesty pushed through the veil of fear. But it didn't. It just made things so much worse. I've spent years feeling the weight of what I did, and I know I can't take it back. But I want to face you all now. I want to make things right. A heavy silence enveloped the room, the tension palpable. He could see Sarah standing at the back, arms crossed, an unreadable expression on her face. His heart sank and soared at the same time. "Why should we believe you?" Someone yelled from the crowd, a spark of anger igniting the air. "Because I'm here," Jamie replied, his voice steady. "I'm ready to take responsibility, to listen, and to do the hard work. I want to prove I can be a better man." What happened next rocked him. A few people began to whisper, their voices creating a low hum that grew louder. Some nodded, while others shook their heads in disbelief. Jamie felt hope battling with despair as uncertainty thickened between him and the crowd. Sarah finally spoke up, her voice cutting through the noise. "Are you really ready for what it means to make amends? What are you going to do if we tell you to leave again?" Everything hung in the balance. The moment felt like a fragile thread. He took a deep breath, searching for strength. "If you want me gone, I'll go. But I need this chance. Not just for me, but for all of us." Sarah looked at him, her eyes searching his. The silence seemed endless, and the crowd waited with bated breath. Would she stand with him or walk away once more? Jamie felt the weight of that decision in every fiber of his being, knowing the answer might change everything in ways he couldn't imagine. The truth hung in the air, heavy and vibrant, waiting to be revealed. What would it take for forgiveness to blossom from the ashes of old wounds? The stillness shattered as Sarah stepped forward, her face a mask of complex emotions. Jamie held his breath, fear churning in his stomach. "I don't know if I'm ready to believe you," she admitted, her voice low but steady. "But I am ready to listen." That simple phrase felt like a lifeline tossed into turbulent waters, and Jamie clung to it, hoping to stay afloat. A soft murmur rippled through the crowd, individuals exchanging glances, weighing Sarah's words like a fragile promise. "Listening is a start," Jamie replied, his heart pounding. "And I'm not asking for forgiveness today. I just want to share why I left, what I've learned, and how I plan to make things right to try and heal." He paused, searching for the courage to dive deeper into the heart of his story. "It's been hard being away. I thought running would ease my pain, but it didn't. It only isolated me, wrapped me in regret." At this, Jamie noticed a few heads nodding. His voice began to tremble slightly, fueled by a rush of emotions pouring forth. "I watched people live their lives without me, and I realized I had taken something important from you all. I've missed out on so much, and I understand if you're angry. You have every right to be." A woman in the front row, someone Jamie recognized from elementary school, looked him straight in the eye. "And if we don't want you here, what then?" The question was sharp, cutting through the fragile ambience. Jamie steeled himself, desperation lining his voice. "Then I'll leave. But I hope you'll give me a chance. If I could take back the past, I would, but I can't. All I can do is stand here now and try to earn back the trust one shattered." Sarah's gaze softened as she watched him struggle with his memories. "What does it mean to make things right?" she pressed, her voice cutting with clarity. "Are you prepared for the consequences of that?" "I understand it won't be easy," he replied, grounding himself in her unwavering stare. "But I want to participate in this community again. I want to volunteer, to help rebuild the relationships I damaged. If you'll have me, I will give everything I have to show you that I am not that same boy anymore." The crowd shifted uneasily, expressions ranging from curiosity to skepticism. Jamie couldn't read the atmosphere clearly. It felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, unsure if he should leap into the unknown or turn back. Alex stepped up beside Jamie, eyes scanning the crowd. "We've all made mistakes. We've lost things. But Jamie is taking a step forward today. He is willing to fight for our town. For us. Shouldn't we consider giving him the chance he didn't give himself?" A rustle of agreement met Alex's declaration, but resistance still hung in the air. Jamie's heart raced. Each second felt like an eternity. Finally, Sarah broke the silence, her voice carrying a weight that echoed in the room. "Are you willing to face the angry voices? The hurt that lingers? Can you handle seeing us struggle with the consequences of your actions?" More than ever, Jamie assured her, "I'm capable of that. I need to hear it. All of it." Sarah's expression shifted slightly, the rigidity of her arms relaxing just a fraction. Let us see. It's a long road, and you'll have to work hard for our trust. But if you're truly committed, maybe, just maybe, you can rebuild. Hope ignited within him. Just the possibility of a chance sent adrenaline coursing through his veins, vibrant and alive. But he also sensed the weight of the road ahead. The path to redemption wouldn't be smooth. It would demand everything he had to offer. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you all, Jamie breathed, feeling suddenly lighter. He looked around at the faces that still bore the scars of his departure, as if he had shaken their very foundations. Let us start this journey together. The room buzzed with conversations as they began to digest his words, uncertainty still lingering, yet a glimmer of possibility flickered within that shared space. What would happen next? As Jamie stepped back, he glanced at Megan, who nodded with a proud smile, but he noticed that Sarah's eyes still held questions. How many walls would he need to break down? Maybe today was just the beginning of his uphill battle. What was waiting around the bend? Deeper truths? Hidden stories that yet remained untold? The future felt precarious, filled with both fear and the promise of hope. Would the effort be enough to not only face the past but also to change the course of his life forever? The sun rose brighter the following day, casting a warm and golden glow over the town that Jamie had tried so hard to leave behind. Ready or not, today felt different. Today was about healing, not just for him, but for a tightly knit community that had been pulled apart. He stood outside the town hall again, heart racing. It was time to put his words into action. Last night had been the first step. Now it was about backing it up with commitment. As he faced the gathering crowd, their murmurs churned the air, blending anxiety with curiosity. He could relate to every anxious soul. He had once been lost and hopeless, like a ship drifting without a captain. Thank you all for returning. The mayor greeted the crowd, projecting a sense of calm amidst the tension. This is a moment for our town, and we will proceed slowly. Jamie wants to share further about his plans to mend our community ties. With each word of the mayor, Jamie felt the weight of their attention. Alone among friends and enemies, he took a deep breath and stepped forward again. I know many of you have your doubts, and I completely understand that. I can't promise you will all feel joy or trust in me today. What I can offer is my commitment to doing the right thing. Some faces softened, while others tightened in skepticism. Jamie's eyes searched for Sarah, hoping the understanding they had reached the previous night would create ripples of change in the crowd. She stood nearby, arms crossed, but her expression had transformed from skepticism to cautious optimism. I left, and in doing so, I hurt you. It wasn't just about my choices. It impacted the entire community. He continued, voice steady and passionate. But I'm here to work harder than ever to make amends. I want to start by engaging with you, taking your feedback on what this town truly needs. Your voices matter more than ever. The crowd stirred, the sound of shifting energy palpable. Jamie could see familiar faces nodding in tentative agreement. A few members from the back spoke up. How do we know this isn't just another speech? One woman asked, her tone wary but intrigued. Because I'm not just talking about plans. I'm talking about action, Jamie replied, excitement crackling in his veins. I'm already working on volunteering, creating job opportunities, and rebuilding relationships. But more than that, I want to collaborate with you to define what we're missing. What do you need? What can I do to help? Voices rose in chorus as questions and suggestions started flying from the crowd. Ideas for revitalizing the recreational park, organizing community events, bringing back a farmer's market, and more. Jamie listened intently, noting every concern, every suggestion. Each bounced around his mind like fireflies, illuminating parts of the darkness he had once inhabited. A small voice broke through the noise, resonating with warmth. What about mentoring programs for the youth? We need someone who understands what it's like to overcome setbacks. A girl offered, standing up tall with determination. Yes. Jamie replied, vision sharpening. We could share skills, build a bridge between generations. I want to support the next group of kids, those who need guidance. especially those that may feel lost like I did. Time passed, but it felt shorter than the moments of doubt that had filled his heart in the past. There was a palpable energy rising. The wall between him and the townsfolk began to crack. After many voices had shared their hopes and visions, Jamie took another deep breath. "This is just the beginning," he said, his heart swelling with new purpose. "Let us set a date to meet again, to hear more ideas from everyone. I want to show you I'm here to listen as much as to lead." Before he knew it, applause erupted. Each clap roared like thunder in the air, shaking something free inside him. Jamie's heart swelled. This was more than acceptance. This was the foundation of rebuilding what had been lost. As he glanced over at Sarah, he caught her soft smile, a connection forming they both didn't see coming. Jamie felt the burdens of the past slip ever so slightly. A chance, an opportunity to rise from the ashes became more vivid with each fleeting moment. Later, as the crowd dispersed like morning mist, Jamie drifted towards Sarah. The warm glimmer of asking for support hung between them. "You were incredible up there," she said, genuine admiration lighting up her eyes. "I didn't think you could pull something like that off." Jamie grinned, feeling lighter than he had in years. "Thanks. But I think it was you all who inspired me. I just wanted to step up and do what has been needed for a long time." Their eyes locked in silent understanding. In that instant, it felt like each gap between them was slowly mending, each old hurt transforming into something fresh. "Wanna grab coffee?" Jamie offered, hopeful. "There's a lot more we need to discuss." "I'd like that," Sarah replied warmly, and the two turned to walk away from the hall together. The future loomed ahead like a welcoming sunrise, offering the promise of hope, healing, and reconnecting with their town and each other. The real legacy built by the Hitachi partnership was not to be found in technology or profits, but rather in their community spirit, a truth blossoming in Jamie's heart as they walked the familiar streets together, the lessons of the past becoming the stepping stones to a brighter future. As they made their way toward the cafe, laughter bubbled up, and for the first time in a long while, Jamie felt an unwavering sense of belonging. This was his home, and he was ready to fight for it. You need to subscribe now to witness more inspiring transformations like Jamie's. This is the moment to show your support for our channel. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Comment your thoughts and feelings about this ending. How has Jamie's journey resonated with you? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. They deserve to hear Jamie's story, and you can be the one to share it.